Right, good evening, members, officers and members of the public watching online. Welcome to today's extraordinary council meeting. I'm Councillor Chris Arbron and I am the council chairman and I will be chairing this evening's meeting. This meeting is being live streamed on the council YouTube channel and will be archived for later viewing. Can I start with some procedural matters, please? Can we use the virtual hand button on your screen? Hang on a minute. Sorry, hang on a minute. Can we use the virtual hand button on your screen to indicate that you wish to speak and then wait to be asked? Please do not speak over another. Please turn on your microphone on and off before speaking, just as you would in a face-to-face meeting. If you do not turn it off, the moderator will mute it for you to avoid any background noise. Please also turn your virtual hand button off after speaking. Thank you very much. Now, can I ask the Democratic Services Manager to take a roll call of all the members present, and this will be a roll call.
Thank you very much, Chairman. So we've had two apologies for absence, Councillors Barrett and Councillor Sutcliffe. So if we start with Councillor Brockbank.
Present.
Councillor Brown.
I'm here.
Councillor Foster.
Where am I?
Yeah.
Where am I?
Councillor Handley.
Present.
Where am I? Where am I?
Councillor Harbron.
Yeah. Present.
Councillor Heseltine.
Present, sir.
Thank you. Councillor Hull.
Present.
Councillor Ireton.
Present.
Councillor Jackwin.
Present.
Councillor Liz.
Present.
Councillor Madeley. No Councillor Madeley just yet. Councillor Mercer. No. Councillor Metcalfe.
Present.
Councillor Morby.
Present.
Councillor Morrell.
Present.
Councillor Mulligan.
Present.
Councillor Myers.
Present.
Councillor Noland.
Present.
Councillor Place.
Present.
Councillor Pringle.
Present.
Councillor Rose.
Present.
Councillor Shuttleworth.
Right. Present.
Thank you. Councillor Soloway.
Present.
Councillor Staveley.
Present.
Councillor Welsh.
Present.
Councillor Wheeler.
Present.
And Councillor Whitaker.
Present.
Thank you. That's everyone. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Guy. Thank you very much indeed. That brings us on to item number 2, which is minutes of the last meeting. Well, I would like to move those in advance. Would everybody like to confirm that they're Councillor Brown, I think, does want to speak.
I'll second them for you, Chair.
Sorry?
I'll second them for you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Councillor Foster.
I just wanted to request one small change, if I could, which is that under CL 1183, the leader gave us a very helpful assurance that he'd look into the use of glyphosate, and I'd just like that helpful assurance minuted as well as the other comments, if possible.
Thank you very much. Any other members got anything that they'd like to add, or can I take it that we go to the vote? Members, all those in favour in that case? The steady stream of hands. Fantastic.
Agreed.
Thank you very much, Councillor Heseltine, on the telephone.
Thank you.
No problem at all. Right, that brings us nicely on to item number 3, which public participation. Have we got any members of the public, Guy, that want to add anything to tonight's proceedings?
We've not got any members of the public that wish to speak this evening.
Fantastic. In that case, we'll move on to item number 4, which is a members' item. Declarations of interest, anybody? I understand we've got some what can we call it, Annette?
Dispensations.
Dispensations, that's the word.
Yes, thank you, Chairman.
No problem.
If I could just say, in relation to agenda item 5, local government reform in York and North Yorkshire, having consulted the independent person from Standards Committee, I've granted dispensations to the 6 dual-hatted members. So that's councillors Barrett, Heseltine, Ireton, Mulligan, Soloway and Welch. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much indeed, Annette. Thank you very much. In that case, I'll move us on to.
Sorry, Chairman, I need to declare an interest.
Yes, Councillor Mulligan, no problem.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Item 7, when we were dealing with the Lane Cliff quarry issue, I'm a director of Craven Barnfield Regeneration Limited, so I will have to leave the meeting for that item. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Thank you. In that case,
Chair, if I may.
Councillor Staveley.
I too am a director of Craven Barnfield, so like Councillor Mulligan, I will have to leave the meeting early, which is such a great shame, but anyway.
No problem at all. Nothing to do with Liverpool again. Okay. In that case, that leaves us item number 5, local government reform in York and North Yorkshire. Report from the Chief Executive. Councillor Foster, would you like to take us through the report?
I'll move the recommendations for now, and then I'll come back in a second. I believe we're just going to give a quick slideshow, if that's all right with members.
Yeah, no problem at all. Right. I'm just having some more technical difficulties, but nothing we can't get over this time anyway. Right, here we go.
Councillor Foster, you wanting me to share the slides, or are you happy to do it?
You can if you want, Guy.
Okay.
If you're set up to do it.
Yeah. Okay. Just bear with me 1 moment. I'll just bring it up.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Chair, do you think you should ask for a seconder on the report before we go into the presentation?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I don't mind seconding. What's going on here? It's very high for me. Oh, I see. Right. All right. Okay. I thought I had technical problems then. Okay. Again.
Guy, if you just press from the beginning, the far left.
Yeah.
Full screen. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Won't feel like Chris Whitty here, aren't I? I'm going to be going, next slide, please. So it's basically when we got the government letter right the way through to where we are now, and we'll take a few questions at the end if the members have any questions, and I'll just do a bit on the report as well. So next slide, please, Guy. So we got the letter on the 9th of October. It was promised earlier than that, but it took till the 9th of October to come. There was ourselves, Somerset and Cumbria received the letter on the same day to look at local government reorganisation. It was also sent to the City of York, not just North Yorkshire. So, you know, the Yorkshire bid did include the City of York. The reason for the meeting today is to put forward outline proposals for the model we produced, and then we'll, as a recommendation, say we'll work up full proposals as we go on. We'll keep members informed of those full proposals as they come clearer as well. It's a huge piece of work. It's a huge piece of work to do in lockdown. We did ask that this be at least delayed, and we've yet to hear a response back from either Luke Hall, who's the minister directly in charge of this, or his boss, Robert Henry. Which we feel is disappointing, especially since I've gone into a lockdown and we're going to come out of lockdown 7 days before the full proposal is supposed to go in. It doesn't make life easy. At the same time, you know, with other fish to fry as part of the lockdown, including sort of, you know, the finance department having to do their bits of work. I'll do a bit on that at the end on sort of any other business. Just a quick update on the COVID. Next slide, please, Guy. This is what the government asked for, including the population sizes, and so we'll go to the next slide, Guy. I think people have seen most of this as to where they were, and yet again, the other things, local boundaries and geographies. Surprisingly, in the Cumbrian one, they've allowed some of Lancaster to be looked at in that, but we weren't in ours allowed to look across the border into any other counties of England. So, but one of the difficulties there, obviously, is the Police, Fire and Crime Commission, the fire rescue authorities are set within North Yorkshire and York in our case, and the real reason why all this was started was because of devolution and mayoral combined authorities. Government told us if we wanted to go down that route, or not as if we wanted to go down that route, but in order to even be considered for that, we'd have to do local government reorganisation. They then seem to change the plans a bit, but we are where we are. The letter has arrived, and we're in the process. And county does look like they're going to submit theirs at their meeting tomorrow. Next slide, Guy. And then looking at the timetable, we agreed a joint brief for this back in July. We've got the minister's letter October. We've got the final report, and we're at the recommendation to full council, which is where we are. And then between December and spring, there's going to be the public consultation by government on either one or both options that go forward. But yet we haven't got the white paper on devolution and reform until at the earliest it's looking early next year, but before that comes out, to know that we've definitely fitted the characteristics of what will count as a devolution model, which we also asked that we could be delayed till the white paper had been produced, so we knew exactly what criteria we were moving towards. Next one, Guy. And then we're looking at implementation. There's two possibles for implementation. 2022 has been mentioned, and that's sort of the structure for getting to 2022. There is not a lot of time to get this in place by 2022. And then if you put the next slide, Guy, 2023 is more possible. It's still a huge amount of work. It's still going to involve a lot of work from officers, especially, but also members as we create really the new authorities. And this is either for the North Yorkshire one or the East West one. Both of these, you know, have the same timetable. And creating those new authorities is not going to be easy in this sort of space. You know, jobs have got to be sorted out, who's doing the jobs, all these things have to be in place. And plus, you're doing all this while you're still running a council and dealing with Brexit and coming out of coronavirus. Again, why we asked for it to be delayed, but it appears to have been ignored. Guy, next slide. So, making the decision to submit. Well, we're here today, 3rd, 11th, 20. County, we believe, well, they're having their meeting tomorrow to submit. Scarborough have already had their meeting. They will submit if county submit theirs. And that's basically what we're asking you tonight is, we'll submit ours if county submits theirs. We don't really want, I don't think there's many people in this room or in this virtual room, to say, that think local government reorganisation at the moment is a good idea. So actually, we'll only submit ours if county decide to submit theirs. We're fairly sure they will. We've got all the indications and implications are that it will go through county tomorrow. And so we want to make sure the alternative bid goes down. You know, we want it a proper choice really for the public and certainly for government to look at both bids. Next slide, Guy. We did look, when we did our options, we did look at all the options, you know, including the North Yorkshire one, which was B on this letter scale. F and C were the two that sort of came out and were shortlisted. F sort of works probably nearly better for Craven, but the top area, it really is a left behind area and doesn't have the balancing of the population and the finance and everything that C does. And C does actually make for two very similar organisations, which we'll show you now. Next slide, Guy. That's basically what we're working with population-wise and everything else, and GVA and everything across the whole patch. And then if you could put the next slide up, Guy. With the north-south split, population-wise, the south, as you can see, it's pretty balanced, but it's not as balanced as if you look at the next slide, especially on GVA at the bottom, which is 6,000 to, sorry, 6 billion to 12 billion, or however it works, or is that hundreds of millions? I'm not sure of what a billion is these days. Depends if you're American or not. Next slide, Guy. So we looked at the east-west, and next slide, probably, Guy. And as you can see, that does tend to give a more balance. It balances the population, the areas, population density are probably the two weaker things, but it does get that 400,000, roughly 400,000 population, which is what the government is asking. Sort of 350, 400,000 is what they regard as their optimum size of population for a combined authority. And it also balances those finances down at the bottom, as you can see. Next slide, Guy. I think these are all followed on, so we'll go again, Guy. Getting ticks. Yeah, so these are really comparing with the North Yorkshire model. So we believe optimum size, we believe North Yorkshire does leave one massive council of 600,000 against a council of 220,000. We feel that the services are going to be a long way from residents. We're not saying in the east-west they're going to be as close as they are at district level now, but there is going to be, it is going to pull it. Fair access to land, and land brings the green economy and everything else in with it. Balanced in numbers, and also when you're creating the mayoral combined authority, the two halves are going to be very well matched. So therefore, you know, there won't be a power struggle between the two as such. They'll work evenly. It does North Yorkshire get more seats on the combined authority than York, and therefore does York miss out? Well, the East West model takes that out of the question or equation. Next one, Guy, please. As you can see, just looking at the population size of unitaries, I mean, Leeds is a functional geography, it's understandable, it's just got a big population. And if you look at North Yorkshire, 600,000 across a rural area, we don't think that's really feasible for where we are. And then if you look at the national average, both east and west are above that, but they're not too huge. So, and if you look at York, it's below the national average, and those authorities that have sort of 200, 300,000 population really seem to be struggling financially to deliver the services they have to deliver. Next slide, Guy. That's just an example of how North Yorkshire is going to be a massive population, and across the, you know, describing the area. Next slide, Guy. And then again, you know, the actual size of North Yorkshire compared with the Greater London Authority, which has a lot more people in there, but you know, that's, we just do it. It's in peak counties, North Yorkshire. It's a long way from one side to the other. Next slide, Guy. And then it comes down to the savings. We believe the East West can deliver between 33 and 56 million pounds worth of savings. I know North Yorkshire's sort of, it's creeping up there, it's getting closer, but without bringing York in, I don't think you can really bring those savings to bear just quite the same. By bringing York in, I think it really does give you that option to make those extra savings. We've still all got to be convinced that these savings will happen, but this is done based on other local government reorganisations of how much can be saved within an area. Next slide, please. And then financial sustainability. The cost of doing this, there is a cost, there will be redundancies, everything else that goes forward, but we're looking at the payback period within 2 years, and that then gives us the opportunity to spend some of those savings on services to improve services, and maybe also make savings if we've got to do some payback for the money that's been spent on the coronavirus outbreak. Next slide, please. Democratic representation. We all know that as a district council, you've still got a lot of people to represent, but at 1,500, people do know who you are. People can get hold of you, get in touch with you. The North Yorkshire Council, they're looking at probably about 90 members when they've finished and gone through the Boundary Commission. That's 5,000. It's a lot of people to be trying to, you know, represent as just a ward member, and that's a ward member in amongst 90 other ward members. You know, speaking your voice for them is going to be very, very difficult. We're not going to stay at 1,500, even in the East West. That number will go up, but you can look at 3,000-4,000. There's more something that we can do and have a manageable number of councillors as well. Next slide. So the benefits of East West, we think it's well balanced, sorting out that levelling up agenda. We need to encourage clean growth. That's going to be the future, making sure we put those windmills and everything up, and also delivering the devolution agenda and ASS, which we've already approved to send out to government. Next slide, please, Guy. Any questions? So I'm just before I finish, I just want to say that Scarborough have voted to send this down. Hambleton look like they won't be sending it down. They've had a cabinet meeting, and the cabinet were recommending to their members that they don't send it. Hambleton just is isolationist and doesn't see that local government, if they don't put the name down to this, they somehow believe that this isn't going to happen. I think it's a very naive approach. And York also have said that they don't want to be part of this. And I believe we've got a letter from York explaining this, which will go around members. But York have definitely said that they do not want to be part of this. As they believe they're happy as they are. But if you look at the York's finances, they've actually got less reserves than Craven have, and we haven't got a lot. So how are they going to manage into the future? I don't know. But that's York's problem. But York don't want to be part of this. They haven't supported the North Yorkshire one either. They just said that they just do not want anything to do with local government reorganisation. And Hambleton have basically done the same. They don't support North Yorkshire. They just don't want anything to do with local government reorganisation. So that's where those two authorities are at. I'm fairly confident that if we members are minded to pass this tonight, that we won't be the only other North. It won't be just us and Scarborough going forward with this. There will be quite a few of the other North Yorkshire authorities are keen to move this forward, and I think most will get it through yet. They haven't had their meetings yet, haven't some of them? So, but I think probably I'm saying this with a proviso, probably by Hambleton, every other authority will probably send this down, and us if we agree to the recommendations tonight. So on that note, I'll finish and leave it over to questions and debate.
Thank you very much, Councillor Foster. Would it be wise at this point, rather than take questions on the slideshow, but to actually enter the proper debate and have a full and honest discussion on the situation? We'll open it for members then, in that case. And at this point, I haven't got any member in the... Oh, Councillor Brown, you have come to our rescue. Councillor Brown, open to you, mate.
Chairman, when you have time, thank you.
Do you want to let Robert go first? Because Robert has to leave, I think. So do you want to let Robert go first?
That's very kind of you, Andy. It's an invidious decision for someone like myself to make, Chairman. Thick end of 40 years on both sister authorities, Craven and North Yorkshire, and served with tremendous pride all that time. And now to have to make a decision between the two, it virtually is a decision that's impossible for a person to make. But at the end of the day, it's a decision I can't make with the heart. It's a decision I have to take with my head. I don't know what Hamilton's playing with, Richard, but they do plough their own furrow around that part of the world, and they might come to regret sitting on the fence there. But I will not sit on the fence. I've been tremendously proud to serve on Craven, but looking forward, a critical mass that I'm sure will be needed for a new organisation. I would support North Yorkshire, and I will be doing that tomorrow. But I haven't the heart to vote against you tonight, and thank goodness I have some visitors coming just after 7 o'clock. But my thoughts are with you all to try to come to what's best, absolute best, not just for the present, but for future families and generations of Craven people and businesses. I wish you the very best of luck, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Councillor Hazeltine. I've got quite a host of people currently wishing to speak. Now, I think it'd be fair just to go back to Councillor Brown, and then I've got Councillor Rose, Councillor Wheeler, and then Councillor Soloway in that order, if that's okay. So, Councillor Brown, open to you.
Yeah, I'm not going to be quick, I'm afraid.
No problem.
Firstly, I'm going to vote for this because I'm a realist and it looks to me to be the least worst option. But what a mess we're in. In the middle of COVID crisis, and what are we discussing but the shape of our own naval and the cost of our own naval, and we're facing a minimum of 2 years disruption. And usually when you're going to mess this bad, it's many people's faults and it's hard to point a finger. But I think in this case, it's pretty easy to point the finger. It's the fault of the national government, the Conservative Party national government. Nationally, they decided that mayors were a nice new fashion. Nationally, they decided to cut money from local authorities. Nationally, they decided to hold back some of that money as bribes to give to those authorities that accepted having mayors and reorganisations. Nationally, they decided to turn down Yorkshire's request for a mayor all on its own, which would have been the best model, I think. And nationally, they insisted on us bringing forward a submission by November. And respect to Councillor Foster for his honesty about, kind of not wishing to do that in the middle of the current circumstance. I can't blame him for that one drop. And nationally, they decided to drop the white paper in the middle of the reorganisation. So we're trying to play a game without any rules. You couldn't make the cock up if you tried. To turn to specifics to be more constructive, first specific I want to raise is on page 79, on page 72, the report talks about becoming carbon negative by 2040. Could I just remind, and it talks about being the first local authority in the country to achieve that, if that's what achieved. Could I just remind everybody that we all unanimously voted for carbon neutrality by 2030. So this is a significant shift of policy in a negative direction, and one I'd like to see stay where it was. So I'd ask for that change going forward. The second thing I want to raise is the model for local decision making, which is going to be absolutely critical going forward, whichever model is taken up. One of the key gains of our East-West split, as opposed to the massive all North Yorkshire arrangement with York out. But even under our arrangements, the two options given is there's a local delivery unit of Craven in which the members group and make some decisions and are represented by the leader at the cabinet, or there's a local delivery unit of the entire Skipton and Ripon parliamentary constituency. And it's that I want to particularly rail against and ask people not to go down the route. It talked about 20 councillors possibly. Can you imagine it? 20 councillors trying to cover the whole area from Ingleton to Masson. Who do you know travels to work in Ripon? Who do you know whose kids go to school in Ripon? If you were asked to make a planning decision about a housing estate in Massam, how much knowledge do you think you could bring to bear the local circumstances? If we had a licensing decision in Ingleton, do we really want it made by a councillor representing Pateley Bridge? Yeah, that's the kind of scale we're dealing with. It can't be the parliamentary constituency. There's no logical geography for the parliamentary constituency. Although it just doesn't work as a geographical unit. It's two geographical units, not one. Third point I want to make is about costings. Our model does at least include some information on costings, so thank you for that. Unfortunately, much of the information is utterly implausible, but out better than out. What we're told on page 9 of our information about savings is that the West North Yorkshire area will make £14.3 million of savings annually as a result of this reorganisation. That means across Craven, including obviously the North Yorkshire that looks after Craven, we're going to make £3 million of savings as a result of reorganisation of local government. That equates to 100 jobs at 30,000 a year. Now, actually, we're told the split will only be 55% of the savings come from staffing. So that means 55 jobs will go in the Craven area. Is there really 55 job posts of flabby spare capacity in local government at the moment? Is that the amount of overstaffing we've really got? I doubt the realism. I do think the realism of 29 million one-off costs of reorganisation could be true, and the rest. I do think we're going to get 2 years of disruption. I do think we're going to get 2 years of loss of focus. I do think we're going to get 2 years of staff interviewing each other for jobs. I do think we're going to get 2 years of difficulty recruiting. Then if we come to the costs on procurement on page 53, apparently 27% of all the costs savings are going to come from greater efficiency on procurement from a bigger unit. So suppliers are going to cut their prices by £8.8 million a year because of our massively improved procurement practices. In your dreams, or more realistically, in your consultants' dreams. When it comes to cost savings on premises, the mistake, I think, is in the other direction. It's pathetically unambitious. We're sitting on huge assets in terms of buildings across the whole of North Yorkshire local government. You think just Northallerton council offices must be some of the biggest council offices and premises in the entire country. Huge potential for selling some of those premises off for housing. Huge potential to cut rent, power, carbon footprint. Huge potential for more home working. Huge potential for perhaps having small high street accessible services and then back rooms wherever is the cheapest.
Councillor Brown, you've nearly been on for 5 minutes. It might be time for us, the chairman, aware. But I will let you continue.
I need about another 2 minutes. I need another 2 minutes and I will be done. I'm sorry I'm taking so long.
No, you're all right, it's no problem.
And so basically, the report calls in terms of property for 1.9 million of disposal costs it talked about. I just don't understand that. To me, only talking about 2.3 million of savings on premises is way short of ambition, and we could be starting now on making those savings if it wasn't for this silly reorganisation. Finally, and you'll be pleased about the word finally, Chair, the report says £2.9 million spent less each year on fewer councillors and fewer elections. Just repeat that number, £2.9 million spent per year. Well, we all know how much we get paid, which isn't a huge fortune, and in my case goes to the political party. Even our model, on our better model of an east-west split, that means a major increase in the size of community that each councillor represents. Is it really a great idea to make councillors more remote from their electors? We need local people to stand a chance of knowing their councillor. A key gain of our East-West model is there's some small chance of keeping that. Yeah, it's obviously going to be easier to do that with an East-West split than it is with a one North Yorkshire model. So to me, one North Yorkshire model risks badly breaking the connection between councillors and the areas they serve. So I'm going to vote for this least worst model in a very poor set of choices foisted on us by an utterly out of touch national government. Thank you for your patience in listening to me so long.
No problem whatsoever, Councillor Brown. Right, Councillor Chris Rose.
Thank you, Chair. Just a very, very brief question to Councillor Foster. Do all the different authorities have to agree on one model that gets put forward to the government, or I'm not clear as to how that works? If Hambleton are not happy and York are not happy, can this model still go forward, or does it have to wait? I mean, tell me, does everybody have to agree with it, or what is the situation? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Rose.
Do you want me to answer
Councillor
that,
Foster, I think we've got an indication to speak there.
Just to answer, literally only one authority needs to submit a proposal and the government will consider it. So if we didn't send this forward tonight, Scarborough will if the county send theirs. So therefore both proposals would be on the table and the government will consider them. Hambleton could come out and York could come up with separate proposals and submit those, and they would also have to be considered. So that but literally just one authority needs to send it down. So consensus isn't required.
Is that okay for you, Councillor Rose? No problem at all.
Yes, thank you.
No problem. I've got Councillor Wheeler, and then I've got Councillor Soloway in that order. Councillor Wheeler.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Councillor Brown, who has encapsulated quite a bit of what I wanted to say. And I do agree with it. It is the least worst option that I think I'm going to favour, which is the east-west. There are a couple of questions that are hanging and a couple of statements as well from it. We have a weird mix of councils that deal with parishes and then ones that have no parishes at all. And I think the report is somewhat vague about how they're going to deal with parishes. It acknowledges the great work they do, but then says, you know, there will be representation of some form, and I'm not quite sure how that sits with those that don't have parishes. There is, I'm looking at some costings, and it seems that whilst there is a lot of talk of savings and paybacks and savings that can be made through the years, there is one aspect of this where I don't see a saving. And looking at the council tax, or the potential council tax that will be paid at Band D, it seems we're looking at anything between 1858 and 1966 a year. So it seems, in spite of savings, our lovely resident is going to stump up an extra 21 to 28% more than they're paying at the moment through district and council tax. So it seems savings for everybody apart from those that are going to pay the council tax. Optimum size, it is right. The bit that puzzles me more than anything is if the argument about optimum size is so compelling, I can't quite grasp why North Yorkshire are still pursuing this bid of theirs. If based on optimum size, it could be doomed to failure, unless they know something we don't. And again, it comes back to a statement I made at the beginning of this process, which is maybe because of the size and because of the services they have to offer, they think that their bid is a quick and dirty solution that's going to be easy for the government to say, actually, you're already there. And I'd be grateful for the leader of the council's view on that. You know, are we coming up with a solution because it would seem we need to counter North Yorkshires and this is the best we can come up with, or has the North Yorkshire option already passed a couple of milestones that we're not aware of? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Wheeler. Yeah, we'll make sure that your questions are answered, of course. I've got Councillor Soloway, pardon me, Councillor Myers. Councillor Holloway.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you. I seem to remember unitary authorities back in 2007. Then that time it was driven by the county council. This time it seems to be driven by the government. So we're in this situation where we've almost got to make the best of it, because it's the government that wants it, not the county council. And I think if the government hadn't demanded it, we wouldn't be going down this route. I can see why the government are keen on this. I can see why they are. It's not the right time to do it, but I can see why they're keen on it. One, there are savings year on year, and I'm sure our Chancellor, who's one constituency away, will be very keen on this. They talk about efficiency of decision making, and I can't help thinking that this is being driven by certain advisors in the government and certain civil servants, as well as certain MPs. There's also a political dimension to this, a party political dimension, I think. Until December 2019 election, Conservative government's power bases were the shire counties. That has changed radically. The whole political landscape has changed radically. Your two-tier government used to be your basis for your activists. It was a basis for this government's activists, and now it's not so. So the government now are very much keeping their eye on the red wall seats, where most of those MPs are in unitary authorities. They don't know anything else. And I don't think the government really rely on the shire counties anymore for their power. There's also that little element that if they can postpone 400 odd sort of shire county elections next year, they'll take away a mid-term verdict on their government performance. So that's the cynic in me. I'm going to cautiously support our bid. North Yorkshire is being decided tomorrow. My own view is that Secretary of State should do a bit of work on this, and he should have a real choice, he or she, because secretaries seem to change as well. They should have the real choice as to which way this is going to happen if this is what they're insisting on. And one of my constituents very eloquently put it that it's not necessarily about the logo on the side of the vehicle or the website. It's about the services, the staff, and the value for money that you deliver. Now, 12 years ago, I opposed unitary proposals, and now I'm kind of resigned to its inevitability, and that it is kind of desired by the government. It's possibly, I say, being driven more by advisors. Two questions I want to ask is, the report is a bit vague on the provision of adult social care, which at the moment is delivered across North Yorkshire by North Yorkshire. And North Yorkshire are going very big on the fact that it shouldn't be split up. Very major function of a big council. It's a major cost on our council tax. Secondly, our bid has two different timescales. It has a short-term one and a longer-term one. North Yorkshire's bid is definitely 2022 for the formation of new authorities. If we start stretching timescales, that could make it less desirable. If we're going to go for this, it needs to be on the same timescale. Thank you, Chairman.
No, thank you very much, Councillor Holloway. That brings us on to Councillor Myers. There's nobody else after Councillor Myers that's indicated to speak, so we'll go to Councillor Myers and see where we go from there. Councillor Myers.
Councillor Jacqueline waving, Chairman.
Oh, and Councillor Mulligan, they're all, yeah.
Right, okay, I've got them, thank you. Right.
Don't invite them, Chairman. I can answer Andy Holloway's question. Well, I'm not going to usurp Richard's position, but on adult social care and children's services, there is no reason at all why they could not be delivered across unitary authorities. There's absolutely no reason why not, in the same way that a mayor will be dealing with two unitary authorities and a combined authority. So there's no need for them to be split up. And yes, that is very much what North Yorkshire's bid is selling itself on. They are very, very important, but they are not the only functions of local government. They actually affect 3%. They don't mention education because, of course, their record isn't so good. Anyway, but it's not tit for tat. I think this is to be supported. I think it's right that the government has choices. I think it is completely the wrong time. I think that the position of North Yorkshire originally, which was that we want a mayoral authority, we want devolution of power to our own county, is the right thing, and that would help us in the years that are ahead to get out of the pandemic and the damage to people's lives and to the local economy. Why that should be tied now to reorganizing local government at such a time when local government is the efficient arm of the pandemic and dealing with it, and central government has failed, I don't know, and it makes me very angry. I would urge members to back this, but I also am very pleased to see that the local delivery model, which is at Appendix 4, is going forward, because actually, to me, that is the best of all possible world. A combined authority under a mayor, but keeping districts, although they'll be altered, as the local delivery units dealing with the things that they currently deal with, the economies of scale that would be available through combined authority shared services, shared staff, and so on. So I actually think that's a revolutionary thing, and it hasn't gone forward as a main option because it wouldn't fit the current timescales. If we're going to have the biggest reorganisation of local government, let's get it right. And I think that's what we should all be speaking. Let's not just do what is expedient now. Let's not go with what is the easiest thing to do or the quickest thing to do. We need to get it right. That's why we're embracing the idea of local government reform. We want the best thing for our residents. My real concern on any of these models is that the devil will be in the detail when it comes to it, and that governance is the most important, because we need to know that our areas and our residents are protected, that economic development in Craven is not forgotten as part of a larger authority, and all other aspects of it. But I'm particularly concerned about that because we've done great work and there's plenty to do. But I regret the passing of district councillors. I think that the relationship that we have with our residents is good. I think that people feel they can speak to us. It's a very human level of exchange. And in the 10 years that I've been a district councillor, I've been hugely impressed by the dedication of councillors to their residents. And I fear that any much larger authority, we will lose that. But we will certainly lose it in a huge unity. It simply won't be possible, because it's not just 5,000 residents that we represent. It's a huge geographical problem. So, yes, I will back this. I think it's the wrong time, and I'm very happy to tell that to government. I've certainly said it to our MP. But I actually think we should look at it in a more revolutionary way that will work with the mayoral authority, but keep the degree of democratic representation that people have now. After all, they pay for it. You know, our residents pay for whatever is going to be the new authority. And I know that our residents don't want a mega North Yorkshire. I know that from my parish councils and from speaking to people, to the point of boring them stupid about this since July. They don't want a mega authority, and they are the ones who pay the rates at the end of the day. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I was just about to ask you, is the chairman aware? Have you got to that point? But we're fine. Okay, that's fantastic. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, I'm not sure whether or not Councillor Mulligan, who was indicated to speak, was before Councillor Jackwin, who
Not
hasn't
bothered.
put his electric hand up, but because Councillor Jackwin is within my patch, I think it'll be fair for Councillor Jackwin speak, and then Councillor Mulligan, and then I think it's time to wrap up after that. Would you think? Would that be about right? Okay, Councillor Jackwin.
Good evening.
No problem.
The members tonight have been recommended in paragraph 2.4 of the District Council's report to authorise the Chief Exec to make necessary changes to the initial submission. I'm like the rest of the members, feel it's the wrong time, but we've got to do it. So the KPMG report emphasises at the exec summary on page 8 that democratic representation criteria is met by the key strength of the East-West model. It's balanced and effective representation. Now, currently, the District Council is nearly a balanced authority with 15 Conservative and 1 Allied and 13 non-Conservative and 1 vacancy. So to continue a key strength of this East-West proposal, I propose the exec summary on page 8 of the KPMG report, which highlights the key strengths, be edited to including the words by a system of proportional representation on the first line of the democratic representation criteria. This additional wording would provide a greater opportunity for representation of minority political groups to improve the democratic process, as described on the balanced and effective representation on page 63 of the KPMG report. I simply seek a seconder from any part of the membership of the council to support this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Councillor Jackwin. You must be getting lonely somewhere along the lines. Councillor Mulligan.
Thank you, Chairman. Just a couple of points, really. I think, first of all, if we look at the recommendations, what we're being asked to do tonight is to decide whether or not to support the proposal to go forward that the districts have made. We're not being asked to compare them or have a debate with any other proposal. We're saying, is this proposal something that should go forward to the Secretary of State? So I'll be supporting it. That doesn't mean I endorse it, but I do believe it should go forward for the reasons Councillor Foster outlined earlier in terms of democracy. I think there should be 2 proposals, and I'm very happy to support it for that reason. It does concern me when I hear that York has voted against the district's proposal, that Hambleton's opting out. I think maybe Councillor Foster is right, the others will go along. But even so, I think we saw a slide very early on in the presentation that said that, you have to show that your proposal commands support, local support. So if we have within the district proposals that some are opting out, some are voting against it, that's not a good sign. I just think that I'm actually in favor of local government reorganization. I have been in favor of it for a long time. I think that given the situation we find ourselves in with COVID, with finances, etc., it's a good way of saving a huge amount of money over a period of time that we might find other more difficult ways to try to do in terms of taxes or whatever. So I also think ultimately, whichever bid is chosen, that we will have a more efficient service. We'll have substantial savings. We'll have what I would say is a single point of contact, so that our partner authorities such as the police and fire, the National Health Service, the local enterprise partnership will be dealing, and that would be the same with members of the public. You'll have a single point of contact, and I think that's a good thing. So I'm in favor of unitary authority, whichever form it may take, and I will be supporting this because I believe that ultimately the Secretary of State will decide which is the better bid. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mulligan. Yes, absolutely wise words, I think, there as well. I think it's time to wrap up, actually. sum up, should I say. Councillor Foster, are you going to try and sum up?
Just to say that you've had an amendment and an amendment moved, seconded by
Yes.
Councillor Nolan, I believe. So obviously we're moving on to the amendment. If I can talk to that, can talk to the amendment. There is no system in British government to do proportional representation. It would take an act of parliament to bring that in as far as local government goes. If we were to put that as part of our bid would go in the bin. The East West bid would go in the bin. So I'm sorry, but I can't stand for the amendment because you're just killing the East West by putting it in there. And I know why you want to do it. I understand, but politically it doesn't exist. There is no local government voting with proportional representation. I think the chief exec can maybe come in and just clarify that. But to my mind, it will just mean ours will go in the bin. Because North Yorkshire's will not have that added to it, and theirs will go forward.
Funny you should say, Councillor Foster. The chief executive has indicated to speak, but I wasn't aware that Councillor Jackwin's motion got a seconder, so that was news to me. But if it has, we have to go through the motions, I dare say. But let's bring this chief executive on, and he'll
Clarify.
absolutely. That's it.
Yeah, Chairman, it was Councillor Nolan who seconded Councillor Jackwin's amendment.
Right.
Unfortunately, I think Councillor Foster's said exactly what would happen if that went through. Also, the other districts and boroughs across the county would not support that either. So I don't see how it could go forward unless it was a unique Craven proposal, which I wouldn't encourage you to go down that line. Chairman, if I can come back when you've debated this amendment, I would like to make a few comments on the report itself, and I think which are quite pertinent to the discussion tonight.
Thank you very much, Chief Executive. Right, okay, in that case, we've got an amendment that's on the table and it's been seconded. I wasn't aware, but it doesn't matter. Let's open the floor on the amendment. Members, who would like to open the debate on the amendment? Okay, in that case...
Move to the vote on it, Chairman.
Well, thank you very much. The vote will be put. Guy, I think we've got to do this.
Chairman, excuse me, could you read the amendment before we vote on it? Could someone just read out what the amendment
Guy,
is?
could you read the amendment, Guy? To your knowledge, anyway.
Well, we're actually considering the recommendation, which is to agree the submission to the government for the case for change, which is outlined under Appendix 1. And Councillor Jackwin has just suggested an amendment to include reference to proportional representation.
Right.
So it would still be to agree the submission to the government for the case for change, but just with the amendment to include the reference to proportional representation as part of it.
Right. Okay. Would it not be for the amendment, and then if the amendment fails, we go to substantive, and then that passes? Is that not how it works?
We'd take the amendment first. We'd take the
That's
amendment,
right.
but we'd
That's
vote
correct.
on the amendment, and if that, and then we'll see how things progress after that. So,
Okay. So no
okay.
members indicated to speak on the amendment. That is correct, isn't it? In that case, are we going to have a roll call of members?
We will. So we'll need a roll call of members' voting intentions. So, so members, please indicate whether you're for, against, or you wish to abstain on the amendment, which is to agree the submission to the government of the case for change outlined at Appendix 1 to include reference to proportional representation. Councillor Brockbank.
I'm against the amendment.
Councillor Brown.
For the London model.
Councillor Foster.
Against.
Councillor Handley.
Against.
Councillor Harbron.
Against.
Councillor Heseltine.
He's left the meeting.
Yeah, okay. Councillor Holt.
Against.
Against. Right. Councillor Ireton.
Against.
Councillor Jackwin.
For.
Councillor Liz,
Against.
Councillor Metcalfe,
Against.
Councillor Morby,
Against.
Councillor Morell,
Against.
Councillor Mulligan,
Against.
Councillor Myers,
Against.
Councillor Noland, come back to Councillor Noland, Councillor Place,
Against.
Councillor Pringle,
Against.
Councillor Rose,
Abstain.
Councillor Shuttleworth,
Against.
Councillor Soloway,
Against, reluctantly.
Councillor Staveley,
Against.
Councillor Welsh,
Against.
Councillor Wheeler,
Abstain.
and Councillor Whitaker.
Against.
Okay, so there was just Councillor Noland to come back to. I don't know if Councillor Noland is able to vote.
Guy. Councillor Mercer here. I wasn't roll call.
Apologies, Councillor Mercer. Do you wish to vote for, against, or abstain?
Against.
Against. Okay, and Councillor Noland still. Councillor Noland, are you with us?
Yes, hello. Hi.
Do you wish to vote for, against, or abstain?
I said for. I was noting what Andy Brown, my colleague, noted. London has a system of proportional voting to elect London representatives. So there is a, what do you call it, a precedent there in England.
Okay, so that motion's been
So
lost.
I'm for, yes.
Thank you, Councillor Nolan. So that motion's been lost. So you may want to go now to the substantive motion.
Okay, now, Guy, did the chief executive mention that he would like to come in before we took the vote on the substantive motion? I'm not quite remember.
I haven't got anyone wishing to speak. I know Councillor Foster has got his virtual hand up.
I actually indicated I wish to come back before the actual vote, and I do.
Sorry,
wish to speak. That's all right, guys. It was up before I took it down when you took that to vote. Okay. Just a couple of things to clarify, really. If no council submits a proposal, then local government reorganisation in North Yorkshire will not take place. So it's up to each and every individual council to make that decision whether they wish to submit a proposal or not. If the county decide tomorrow night that they will not submit a proposal and none of the districts do, then it will not go forward. It is as simple as that. It is in each individual council's own hands. Can I just outline the resources that are required to get us? This is the early stage, which has taken up far too much of my time, far too much of my senior management team's time, when we should be concentrating on other economic and health issues. That's where we should be devoting our resources. Yeah. Unfortunately, we have been forced down this line. So this is the first stage. We have an immense amount of work to just finalise some of the proposals, to sharpen up that proposal from the East-West split, which has to be in by December the 9th. Again, a vast broad section of officers from Craven will be working on this with their counterparts across the districts and boroughs. It is an immense task. Councillor Soloway mentioned timescale. As we won't get the government's consultation and possibly indication as to which way they're going till March at the earliest, if it was March, it would cancel the county elections and the district elections. I'd say it's bordering on reckless to put it in by April 22. I've been through this. I know exactly the resources it takes. I know exactly the reorganisation, the staffing issues that have to be dealt with, and indeed every other facet of it. If you honestly believe that the hard lifting has been done, there is a rude awakening for many people who are believe it can be put in by April 22. When we should be focusing on other issues, I don't think that is a sound judgment, to say the least. We also, Councillor Solway also mentioned in terms of social care. Actually, the county have set a really good model. I praise them for what they do on social care, but actually they have locality teams. Each area has a locality team in essence. And under an East-West split, that's exactly how it would be. Those locality teams would be very much welcomed, very much supported, and very much there to deliver close to the population. So there is a real way of actually resolving that very quickly, and actually without the major impact that I believe has been talked about in some quarters. I really could go on about the impact this will have on staff, because you've got to remember every member of staff is now concerned across Craven, across all the districts, across the boroughs. You know, these are their jobs that we're talking about. These are their livelihoods. So do we really, you know, we're back to is this the right time? It's never the right time for local government reorganisation, whether you support unitaries or not. All I can say is this is absolutely the worst time to go forward on it. Thank you, members.
You're muted, Chair.
I apologise, Councillor Foster. I was going to say, hopefully you're going to sum up for us, and then we're going to go to the vote. Sooner rather than later, I dare say.
I'll be rapid.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't want local government reorganisation. Craven hasn't asked for this.
No.
County are determined with this. Government's put it there for them, giving them the option, and county are taking that option. I don't want Craven to be the first. That's why we put the proviso in that this has got to be county that triggers this, because I really do feel that I don't think it's many of the members in this room the idea that local government reorganisation will give better local governance to people. Value for money, there will be savings out of doing this, but like Paul just mentioned, there's going to be massive upheaval for this organisation. And I really didn't want, as Carl Les said to me, he said, I would never want to be the last leader of North Yorkshire County Council. I might not be, by the way, by this time, in 2 years' time or 3 years' time, the last leader of Craven District Council. But I'm sitting here tonight where we are making a vote that basically will end Craven District Council. I think that is a properly sad night. And, you know, I've worked with the people in the offices and the members in this room for a long time. Some less time than others, but we've a good organisation here, and the ending of this organisation is not going to be of any benefit, I don't believe, to the residents of Craven. Best of a bad job, this is probably it. I'd like to see us be able to keep working at this as it goes through government. I'd love to see government to actually say, let's delay this now we're in lockdown. They still do have chance and time to do that. We could still say, let's not, we know you're going to submit, but we're going to defer it for 6, 12 months, whatever. I think a far more sensible reason. And let us properly work these bids up. A lot of the questions that have been asked tonight are going to be worked up a bit on the hoof because of the time scale. We will get there. We will try and make it so that this is a district-built unitary authority. As the county is going to be a county takeover, as I see it, I believe this can be a district-built-up local authority, and therefore we can take the good traditions that we've got in Craven and in the other districts and make sure that we bring the best of those to form that unitary authority. And that's really what I want to do, and I want to make sure that we do have the locality teams. I too have misgivings about the idea of doing the parliamentary constituencies. It suits MPs, but I really don't think it suits residents. So I think we've got a lot of arguments and stuff to go on between ourselves as leaders, but also we will feed back, you know, the latest iterations of this as it goes forward. And please comment, and please, you know, we will try and feed in to make sure we do get this as an organisation that works for all of us. So on that note, on that sad note, I feel I'm happy to go to the vote, Chairman, if you will.
Okay, Guy. The question has been put.
Okay, thank you, Chairman. So if you could if you could advise members whether you wish to vote for, against, or abstain in terms of agreeing the submission to government for the case for change as outlined in Appendix 1. So starting with Councillor Brockbank.
For.
Councillor Brown.
Astonishingly, I'm for.
Councillor Foster.
For, regrettably.
Councillor Handley.
For.
Councillor Harbron.
For, regrettably.
Councillor Hull.
For.
Councillor Ireton.
For.
Councillor Jackwin.
For.
Councillor Liz.
For.
Councillor Mercer.
For.
Councillor Metcalfe.
For.
Councillor Morby.
For.
Councillor Morrell.
For.
Councillor Mulligan.
For.
Councillor Myers.
For.
Councillor Noland.
Regrettably for.
Councillor Place.
For.
Councillor Pringle.
For.
Councillor Rose.
For.
Councillor Shuttleworth.
For.
Councillor Soloway.
For.
Councillor Staveley.
For.
Councillor Welsh.
Not wishing to go with the flow. Against.
Councillor Wheeler.
For.
And Councillor Whitaker. Councillor Whitaker doesn't appear to be with us.
Right.
Okay, so that's carried. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Guy. Thank you. Yes, indeed. Yeah. Oh dear. Right. That brings us on to item number 6. Now, this is quite a speedy item. I will not ask members if they want a comfort break. However, if anybody would be inclined, now's your time. But if we can go on to item number 6, there's no problem with that either. Everybody okay?
Yeah.
Right, super. Item number 6 then. Lead member for planning. Report from the solicitor of the council and monitor officer is attached. Councillor Metcalfe, would you like to introduce this item?
Yes, I'd like to. Are you asking? Sorry, Chair. Are you asking me to speak on the item or to move it?
If you like to speak on it, you can do. If you'd like to move it. That would be even better.
Right,
if you've got nothing to say on the subject, that's even better still. Whatever you want.
Okay. Well, first of all, I would like to move it, but I would like to briefly say, and it will be brief, that basically we as an administration want to be proactive in delivering and providing an improved and effective and efficient planning service. The lead member role is key to this and will be a valuable addition to the planning service and to ensure that the peer review recommendations are delivered. And it's cost neutral this financial year. Next financial year, there will be a minimal cost built in. And it just seems a sensible progression as other areas have lead member roles. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Would Ms. Moffat like to add anything to what's already...
Can I second that, Chairman?
Yes, you certainly can, Councillor Ireton. No problem at all. Would Ms. Moffat like to add anything to what's been spoken already?
No, nothing to add to my report, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Right, in that case, notice that nobody... Councillor Ireton would like to speak. Councillor Ireton, up to you.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman.
No problem.
Yes, I think this is the right move to go forward to improve the planning services. We seem as though we have struggled for several months now in the planning department. And I think that Councillor Myers will make an excellent lead member for that role. linking that, especially with the role of deputy leader of the council. And I'm looking forward to seeing vast improvement in that department. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Councillor Ayrton. Thank you very much. Yes, indeed. I have got Councillor Foster and Councillor Rose. Would Councillor Foster like to let Councillor Rose go first? Yeah, Councillor Rose.
Thank you. This is just a general question. Does that mean that Councillor Myers will still be working with Enterprise in Craven as well? Lead member, yeah? Or have I got that the wrong way around?
Yeah, no, it's just adds to the burdens, Chris. It doesn't alleviate me of any.
Well, I just want to say you do such a splendid job with Enterprise in Craven. I think it'd be fabulous. I just hope your plate doesn't overflow too greatly. So I'm all in favour. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Rose. Councillor Foster, there's nobody else wishing to add anything, so you might as well take it on there now.
Probably not a lot to add. I just think that we do need that political lead within this area, as well as, and this isn't to compete with the chair of planning or the chair of spatial planning or anything. This is to give that proper linkage between members and officers into the leadership team to make sure planning is properly represented at those meetings. We've got that special review coming, sorry, peer review coming, and we need to make sure that gets implemented. I see Simon with his level as deputy leader is probably the ideal person just to put in there and make sure that those implementations are done from the peer review and drive it forward and make sure that happens. So I'm quite confident in his many abilities that he can do this and do it Enterprise in Craven at the same time. And with a bit of luck, this will mean that the peer review gets implemented and we have a really well functioning proper planning committee that properly services the community, maybe only for a short time, but hopefully that model will be taken forward into whatever model comes out of this, so that we do have that functioning planning committee. It needs doing now, it can't be done in months time or 2 months time. It needs, when that review comes, it needs actioning quickly. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you very much, Councillor Foster. Now, if I was missing something, and I usually do, Councillor Ayrton proposed the motion. Did we actually get a second?
Seconded.
You seconded it. That's fantastic. So
Councillor
Councillor Myers, you are now indicating to speak, and then I think in the absence of anybody else, we might just take it to the vote if that's okay. Councillor Myers.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, members. And I'm not preempting the vote here, but I would like to say that I think we all recognise the difficulties that we as a council have with planning. As ward members, those of you on the planning committee, and I'm no doubt the peer review will throw up some interesting observations and recommendations to change. I would say that, of course, we do have a new chairman of planning, Brockbank, and a new deputy chairman, Councillor Liss, and they have already been working on implementing changes. And I look forward to working with them and with all planning committee members, board members, and officers to get this ship running smoothly as soon as we can.
Thank you very much indeed, Councillor Myers. Thank you. I would take that's an acceptance of the potential role. Members, I think the question has been put. Guy, can we have a roll call?
Yep, I'll try and be as quick as I can. If you'd like to indicate whether you vote for, against, or abstain for the new lead member role for planning. Councillor Brockbank.
For.
Councillor Brown.
For.
Councillor Foster.
For.
Councillor Hanley.
For.
Councillor Harbron.
For.
Councillor Hull.
For.
Councillor Ayrton.
For.
Councillor Jackwin.
For.
Councillor Liss.
For.
Councillor Mercer.
For.
Councillor Metcalfe.
For.
Councillor Morby.
For.
Councillor Morell.
For.
Councillor Mulligan,
For.
Councillor Myers,
For.
Councillor Noland, Councillor Place,
For.
Councillor Noland, was that you voting for?
That was me voting for, Guy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Pringle,
Very much for.
Councillor Rose,
For.
Councillor Shuttleworth,
Emphatically for.
Councillor Soloway,
Yes, for.
Councillor Staveley,
For.
Councillor Welsh,
Oh, and I wish Councillor Myers good luck because he's going to need it.
Councillor Wheeler,
For.
and Councillor Whitaker.
Thank you very much, Guy.
If I could just, I think Councillor Whitaker is with us. If I could, Councillor Whitaker, do you want to just unmute yourself? You unmuted and then you muted again. You just want to have another go, Just have another go, Councillor Whitaker.
Oh.
Four. Thank you very much. That's unanimous.
Pointed on it. That's what the trouble is.
So, okay, we got there. So that's unanimous, Chairman.
Oh, thank you very much indeed, Guy. Thank you indeed. Right, that brings us on to item number 7. We've got some recommendations for confirmation. Right, policy.
Sorry, Chairman, can I just say, as I said before, I'm going to leave the meeting at this point because of the Langcliffe Quarry item. So thanks, everyone. Good to see you.
Sorry, you're right, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's something else as well, isn't there?
Yeah, Chair, if I may, I too will leave. Thank you very much. Good night.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Right, so item 7, recommendations for confirmation. I'll be looking for a proposer and a seconder, and then we can try and move this little bit of business. Do we have a proposer and a seconder for POL 1095?
I'll move both recommendations, Chair.
Thank you very much, but we will debate them separately, I would imagine. Will not be.
I'll second them, Chair.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Councillor Myers. Right, would anybody like to debate then POL 1095 in that case? Councillor Pringle.